Call to order the Hampstead Planning and Zoning Commission meeting Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. May we have a roll call, please?
Sharon Callahan.
Here.
Lou Conyer.
Here.
Charlie Obermeyer.
Here.
Deb Painter.
Here.
And Barb Yeager is absent.
Thank you. First on the agenda, and let me do a reminder, please. All persons are reminded that this session is being recorded on tape as required by law for the preservation of records and are asked when providing comment to give their name and address. All persons in attendance are requested to print their name and address and affiliation on the sign-in sheet located at the front of the room, or the back of the room, rather. We need first a minute's approval for the regular commission meeting, February 22nd, 2023. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
And may I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? And so approved. And then, don't we need a second approval? Yes, we do. For the planning and zoning meeting, this was for the public hearing, February 22nd, 2023. We need an approval for that one. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No discussion? Approved. Okay. Zoning administrator update.
Okay. As far as our projects going on around town, everything's pretty much sort of in a holding pattern with the county's review. Hans is meeting with the IDA to discuss the exterior of the building, I think next week. Hopefully they get all that ironed out, and then they will be resubmitting plans to the county. So I just wanted to update you on a couple things going on around town. Well, first, the fire department, and this has to do with one of our projects. Their new fire station, their interim station in the rear, they will be having an open house for that on Saturday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to noon. And they asked that if you'd like to attend, you can come down. It's free. It's open to the public. Come in via the back entrance, the new entrance on Upper Beckley'sville. And then also the fire department is having a free community shredding event on April the 1st. And once again, that's free to the public. They are saying if you'd like to make a donation, they're not going to turn you down.
Okay.
They've got a few bills to pay.
Just a few.
Mm-hmm. As far as the town, coming up on Wednesday, April the 19th at around 9 o'clock in the evening, we'll do our semi-annual hydrant flushing, and the Department of Public Works will go out and systematically flush all the fire hydrants. It's just to clean the system out, make sure there's no stagnant water sitting around anyway. It's a safe way to do it. What it may do, it may cause some slight discoloration during the hours that they're flushing and during the early part of the day, the following day. So when you turn your water on after or during the flushing, just let it run for a little bit, run cold, and after a few minutes you won't see anything and you'll be good to go. The only other item I really have, it's the town election. And the town election's coming up on May the 9th, Tuesday, May the 9th. You can vote here in Town Hall from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And there are 2 spots on the town council up along with the mayor. All the terms are for 4 years. To vote, you need to be a registered voter in Carroll County, and you need to live within the incorporated town limits. If you're not registered to vote, you can do so online by visiting Carroll County Election Office at elections.carrollcountymd.gov, or you can call the elections office at 410-386-2080 to request registration forms by mail. And you need to turn any voter registration forms in by April the 10th to be able to vote in the municipal election on May 9th. Nomination packets for any residents that would like to run for the office, they're available here at Town Hall. Candidates must be 25 years of age, must be a registered voter, and have resided within the incorporated limits of the town for at least 1 year prior to the election. If you do come in and pick up a packet, you would have to fill it out and have it back to the town by 4:30 on Monday, April the 10th, to be able to run for one of the available seats. So, and that's it. Oh, and absentee ballots for the election will be available after the Board of Supervisors of Elections validates the candidates. So on April 11th, if you would like a absentee ballot, you can contact Town Hall. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion, questions, comment? Okay, next on the agenda, approval of signage Smokers World, 841 South Main Street. I don't see anybody here representing them.
I do not see anyone here representing them. As everyone has noticed, the main sign is already up over on the facade over 841 South Main. It's the old Ricky's Bistro. The way that the whole thing with Smokers World went down is if you meet the zoning for that district, you really do not need to come to Town Hall or meet with any Town Hall staff to approve your business to go in that location.
Right.
So a lot of times, or some of the shopping centers that we work with are great, and they'll say, it's best just to meet with Town Hall, make sure everything's in line, and you're good to go. Certain shopping centers do not do that. In this case, Smokers World signed a lease to go into that spot, and they went in. I went down a couple times and tried to meet with anyone, and there was no one there. There was black or brown paper on the windows and doors, and knocked. There was no one there. We got a building permit for a change of use. Change of use is something we get from the county that we just need to sign off on as the town if it's taking place in the town. It's a very, no thought goes into it when you know what's going in and what was there. So we signed off on that. That was early February. Still nothing from Smokers World. We had the meeting here, the planning and zoning meeting on the 22nd. We had no contact with them. I get a couple calls on the 24th of February, and they're telling me that Smokers World has a sign up. And so I went down immediately, knocked on the door, still the brown paper up, no one there. So we came back, we dug down, found the building permit, tracked down the owners of Smokers World, and I called them. It was a very nice woman. She explained to me that she had reached out to the shopping center property management company, and she had asked what she needed from the town to install signage, and they had told her that she did not need anything from the town. She just needed the approval of the shopping center owners. So, and she showed me the email thread where this conversation went back and forth. So that's why the sign is up now. She asked about installing the sign in the monument sign, just the little panel that would go in there. I told her to hold off until after planning and zoning meeting to make sure that it is approved by the planning and zoning commission. I also told her that there is a chance that if they do not like your signage, they can make you yes, they can. They can make you remove the signage if it does not fall within the Main Street revitalization signage requirements. So that's how the sign got up.
Okay. Thank you.
Now we get to the actual application.
So Jim, the recourse that we've got is only if it doesn't comply with what
Well,
the revitalization parameters are, right? You can't just say, hey, you put your sign up before you got approval. That's not really what we're talking about. It's just if
That's not what we're talking about. Okay. I mean, if the town had really wanted to be sticklers, I could have gone down there that day and said, take it down. It's not approved. In this case, it does meet the size requirements of the code. It's very similar in letters to other signs in that shopping center. Basically, with those parameters, it does fit within the code.
excuse me though, but here is what's in the application.
Correct.
Blue, look, pretty blue. Here is what's up on
I
the,
was wondering if somebody
look,
took a picture.
here you go. This is tonight. Canary yellow.
Right.
Right, that's
Right.
not the blue. And all the other shops in that strip have all conformed. They're all lovely, they're nice colors, they're the same size, and it all looks very professional and looks nice. When you drive past this, what I just showed you a picture of, it's pretty startling. It's
It is very loud.
very loud, and they also have those flags outside. You're only allowed one. I think there were 3 or 4 things outside tonight because I saw them. So that certainly is not.
And I was hoping that a representative from Smokers World would be here this evening, because I have the chapter printed out right here on signs. And he has 3 feather signs out there, and he has 3 of the yard signs out there. You are allowed 1 feather sign and 1 of the yard signs, which is termed an incidental sign. So I was going to tell him that this evening that they must come down immediately. Since no one from Smokers World showed up, I will go down and I will visit with them tomorrow, and I will make sure that as far as the off-site incidental and the feather signs are now in compliance with the town. If he refuses, which I do not anticipate, then he will get a municipal citation and a fine.
You know, when you read the Chapter 135 zoning, Main Street signage, when you read that and you look at the second page of the list of things as it describes the signs that would be expected, smaller rather than larger, tasteful rather than garish. Well, garish and tasteful, it is opinion, you know, everybody sees that a different way. But because everyone else on Main Street, which I'm very proud of our town and how it looks, everyone else on Main Street has respected that and conformed. And everything looks lovely, and they're all different, but they're all the same in that they're soft and they're attractive. And when you come down Main Street, you're not in shock. That's my phone. I'm sorry. But had they done this sign in blue like they have on this application, and maybe the sign man made a mistake. How'd it go from blue to canary yellow?
I'm sure that it wasn't on the sign man that made the mistake, because if they really wanted blue, it would be blue.
Right.
So I'm sure it was the owners that changed it from blue to yellow.
So, I mean, do we have an incomplete application here because it's not accurate to what's actually, I mean, most of the time, if we were looking at this, we would be able to ask them if this was the correct color, which we've had come up in other businesses. We've said, then they've usually clarified and said, in this picture, it's black, but it's actually going to be yellow or something like that. And we've, we've made comments on that before we've approved. One, because they're not here. 2, this application is showing a different color than now that we know is up. To me, this is not a complete application, and I just don't think that, can we approve this if it's, in my opinion, incomplete, because it's not accurate to what it is, and we can't obviously have that
I would agree.
dialogue.
Well, and the application says letters to be yellow, but the pictures, everything says blue. So there's a,
Well, yeah,
It's
and
not
even the
conforming.
application's
Say
even
blue.
to the sign manufacturer that shows blue.
Right.
Unless they doctored that up when they gave you the application. I
No,
don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was fully expecting someone to be here tonight from
We could've
Smokers World
discussed it,
to explain it and have discussion.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, if you look here, on the sun sign application,
right,
It
that's
says
what I'm
blue
saying.
right
It
there.
say blue,
I
but
see it,
this
yeah.
one says, the application for this says yellow.
Yeah.
So
I think there's some confusion in how they did their application. And I think, well, I certainly, in my opinion, I would not approve this the way it is.
No,
As it
I-
stands, I certainly would like to see them do something to soften that yellow.
Okay.
I'm sure their sign person has the capability of doing that in some way. And I'm not in the sign business, but I think they could do that.
What we can do, and this is just a suggestion, I can go down there tomorrow and I can tell them that, the Planning and Zoning Commission met last night. There was some confusion, obviously, between the blue and the yellow. Basically, the sign, we weren't sure exactly what it was going to be. We see that it's yellow, but that's not what it said it was on the actual sign application from the sign company. Since no one was here, we can ask that they turn the sign off, and then we can revisit this next month with them with an accurate application.
Sounds like a great suggestion.
And I think they would also need a second application, correct me if I'm wrong, for the one in the
Correct, we can do that.
Panel
also, yeah.
monument.
The
Because
monument,
that's
yeah.
not in here.
And the other thing, and if you've noticed, there is some window signage.
Yeah.
Also,
Yes.
and that was not applied for, so we can get that wrapped up at the same time.
I think that's a great idea, because we're not obviously gonna approve this.
Yeah, I do think it's just appropriate, right, to your point, Sharon, about just maintaining the look and feel of Main Street.
It's
the whole
beautiful.
point, right? It's-
Yeah, it
The
is.
whole reason you put all those in place was to keep, a particular character and look, and you're right, it's garish, it doesn't fit with what you expect there.
I mean, as I said, and I would say it, and it's worth repeating, I am so proud of our town and how it looks. Driving from the south end of town to the north end of town, everything conforms. They're all different, but they're all the same, and everything is tasteful and looks nice, like people really care about what they're doing. Residential as well as the businesses as well. So I think these folks don't understand that, or it wasn't explained to them properly, so I think we can help them and we can work together to resolve it. And that's the goal.
Yeah, I think another maybe follow-up would be, is the management company. So if it's really the management company who's giving them bad advice,
As soon as I read the email that I got from, I think her name is Shahar from Smokers World, I got the contact information that was in the email, that who she had corresponded with at Gemstar Property Management. And I sent them an email explaining that that is not the case. You do need to get a permit from the town for any signage. And I suggested to her that in the future, when she has a new tenant come in, I suggested that she have the new tenant, before they move in, meet with town staff. And, to make a nice, easy, smooth transition. I also asked for some contact information for Gemstar, and could she please provide that? And I have not heard back. So,
well, how long ago did the Iliano sell to these folks?
it's probably been at least a year.
Yeah.
Well, and you're talking to
Sold
the
again.
property management, not the owners.
Yeah, I'm not, the property is owned by an FMF Enterprises Incorporated, and they have hired Gemstar Property Management to manage the shopping center. So, would you like to proceed that way and basically have the sign, it must be the seat, the sign turned off
Yes, I
for a
would agree
month
with
until
that.
the next planning and zoning meeting?
Well, I guess I don't know if it's worth even mentioning to them though, but to Sharon's point about, is there a way to soften the
Yep.
coloring, right? So at least let them know this is not
Absolutely, and
something
that
that you're
was,
gonna show up and all of a sudden we're gonna bless it. It's like, well, there's already questioning
The color.
the coloring and everything else and how it's out of character
mean,
with what Main Street.
Ideally,
necessarily
it'd be nice
matching.
to go to the blue instead of the.
And had they come to us to begin with, the way everybody else does,
right.
or they don't know to come to the meeting, they come to the town office and ask,
Right.
and you're also gracious all the time here, and you help them. So they may be disappointed, however, it'll be a lesson learned.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we always welcome businesses to come in before, because it just makes it so much easier when everyone's on the same page. And unfortunately, in this case, it did not happen.
I think
Okay.
we're also setting an important precedent for future businesses, not necessarily just this one and setting that, but other businesses that could potentially come into the area. It's saying like, hey, we want to work with them and we want to have that collaboration, and we want them to be invested in our community, just like
Absolutely.
we want them in here, but they also we want people that are going to be invested in our community. And right now, signs are pointing to they're just trying to make a buck.
Right. Okay.
I got it. So I will go down there. We will have the sign turned off until the next planning and zoning meeting. I will inquire about the color. I will ask if it can be softened or dimmed, and
Change.
Or change if
or
not.
change to blue, and I will stress that someone needs to be at the next planning and zoning meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I also have all the temporaries taken down.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We don't need a motion for this, correct?
Absolutely.
Do we?
Yeah, you probably need a motion not to approve.
Okay, well,
I make a motion not to approve the sign for Smokers World.
Seconded.
all those in favor? Aye. So approved. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, Carroll County Department of Planning update.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Here we go. All right, just a brief update from the Carroll County Department of Planning for the Transportation Master Plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission has been meeting at pretty much every Planning and Zoning Commission for the county on the Transportation Master Plan during February, March, and April. The review is focused on planned major streets. This would be the same about a year ago. County staff came over to the town and went through all the road improvements. Also, for the annual report, thank you very much. We got all the information that we need, and we will have that sent with all the other, with the county's letter and the 8 municipal letters to Maryland Department of Planning. Also, for the hazard mitigation plan, the county has requested information from municipal staff for FEMA's required revisions, so the draft can be submitted to FEMA. Updated requirements for the hazard mitigation plans, local hazard mitigation planning handbook. Mitigation is defined, updated requirements for the hazard mitigation plan will be going into effect in mid-April. So required modifications need to be made as soon as possible. And then just lastly, I mentioned this last month too, but the economic development and land use study, Jim, I gave you some information on that prior to the meeting, but this study, as mentioned last meeting, this officially kicks off the master planning process for the county. There was a workshop held on February 16th over at Exploration Commons. The next public workshop is planned for April 27th at 5 p.m. at Exploration Commons, which is located at 50 East Main Street. And information on the study can be found on the department's webpage. So if you have any other questions, let me know, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Andrew?
Thank you.
Any questions? Further comments? Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Is there any other business? No public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Marlene Duff, Boxwood Drive. I appreciate the Planning and Zoning Commission's addressing the Smokers World issue, because that's why I was coming in to express concern. Mostly because of the appearance of the sign, then all those annoying wavy signs are they're very distracting and they're very unsightly. And I forget how long I served on Planning and Zoning back into the late 2000s.
Early.
2009, let's say that. And I think every group since then has taken very seriously, and as Mr. Obermeyer mentioned, setting a precedent for future businesses. And if nothing else, you have to be consistent. And you may not agree with everything as a group, but I think you can all agree that the appearance of the town and the heritage of the town is very important. And that's the first thing people see when they come in. And honest to God, when I rode by there the first time, I thought, oh, I could just puke when I saw that. And I thought, I'd be curious to see how much business it generates. I mean, because, smoking is just not I guess socially, people still, there are closet smokers, and I still see cigarette butts everywhere. But I'd just be curious as to how popular a place that will be. But I just appreciate the Commission's concern about that and your determination to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. So thank you, Jim, also for dealing with those stupid little signs.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment, Mrs. Duff.
There's a-
Much appreciated.
There's
I
a
agree.
lot
We
more
have-
of those little signs around town that will be not around town by the end of the day tomorrow.
But you know what, there's a lot of those little feathery signs too that probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's tough when you don't have a code enforcement officer, so.
Yeah.
And I do agree, you know, we've tried to set a precedence when, you know, when Dollar General came, and everyone was like, oh no, there goes that big tall yellow sign, and we're like, we'd like the brick to match across the street,
Right.
the fencing.
They changed the fence. We
they
didn't like the
changed
fence.
fencing. So, I mean, I think, you know, everybody's been pretty good about conforming to what we have, because it looks nice, and, you know, whether they have to or not, they don't, but it's been nice that most of the businesses have conformed to set that precedence of, this is what we want our town to look like, so.
And again, as I've said earlier, I brought people here to Hampstead and taken them riding through the town, and I don't say anything. I'm just a driver, and I'm so excited when they say, what a beautiful town this is. Wow, this is lovely. Gee, I'd like to live here. And I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm just happy that, not yet, right. But I but I can say that I'm proud of Hampstead and what we look like. And it is because of the consistency that we have followed for all of these years. And so much thank you, Mrs. Duff, for your time on planning and zoning and serving the community as well, because you were part of that. Thank you.
Well, I think to add to that, I think we've all driven through communities around, you know, Maryland or wherever, where you see where that isn't in place. And you can see what can happen if you don't have at least some controls. I think it sometimes feels like big government trying to control things, but if what we want, right, the whole point of the things that we've talked about over my year and change with this commission is, it's a great place to live. You want to be proud of it. So, I mean, hats off to Jim, you and Tammy and everybody for what you guys do to keep us, you know, in line with what the ordinances are. But yeah, I think it's important to put your feet down whenever it matters.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank all you guys also. I mean, for everything you do. You know, you don't have to do it. You're not getting rich off of it. I know that, but you have.
You can say that again. We're not.
We're not?
See my jewels?
No, you take a lot of pride in our town, and I appreciate that.
Well, we live here too, so that's part of it, you know, we live here, we talk to people here, and we know what they want, and, you know, we're the voice of the people. You know, I mean, I know
Yeah.
it sounds
Right.
cliche, but, you know, we all want what's best for the people in the community, so.
We don't want Pottersville.
Pottersville?
Pottersville.
You ever see that movie?
It's a Wonderful
It's a
Life.
Wonderful Life.
Oh, okay, thank you. That was a long time ago, before my time.
So, all right.
Okay, any other comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I need a motion, please, to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So approved. Thank you.
Okay, so you're.
That was a real quick 30 minutes.
No.